Hello and welcome to our review of Veronica Mars. I'm Paul,
And I'm Dave.
and this week we are discussing the episode Show Me the Monkey.
Yes, the little monkeys.
Yes, the monkey. This episode originally aired January 23rd, 2007. So let us start off, Dave, with the number one song in America.
Song wise.
Brand new here, and I'll give you a hint, it's a brand new song, and an artist I think we've only seen once so far.
Hmm. Like supposedly renowned for supposed work that they've done, or
An incredibly popular artist that is kind of just getting started, I think, or at least getting started in a solo career.
uh, eh,
Any ideas?
like there's a couple faces that come to mind, but the only one that I have to a name, I believe, is Beyonce.
It is Beyonce. It is her song Irreplaceable, which I am not familiar with, but I'm not really a Beyonce fan, so, you know.
It's most likely somewhere in this brain of mine, but it is not coming to mind at the moment.
Fair enough. Let us move on to the movies. So, just a quick recap of what had been number one up into this point. In December, we had, for the week of December 10th, it was Apocalypto, and the week after, it was a movie called The Pursuit of Happiness. Any ideas what it could... Oh, sorry, I almost forgot to list the other ones. After that, it was Night at the Museum, and followed by that, Stomp the Yard. So any ideas what it could be for this week? It's terrible.
In like the typical sense, or a bit more of the like cult classicness with after its first release.
No, this is more of okay. This is like right after like the scary movies had shown that like these kind of like parody movies could be really successful, and this is one of like the crappy ones that came out after.
And I can think of some of them, but I think they were later on in other particular ones.
This
So
is like one of the earliest ones where it was like, oh, you're not really trying with this, are you?
again, I can think of a bunch of them, but then any sort of title isn't immediately coming to mind.
Okay. I'm just gonna tell you because I don't think you'll remember this movie. It's called Epic Movie.
Vaguely rings a bell, but I think it's only the case of I know it by title only, and just the case of immediately seeing it was like, yeah, this is just a stinker. I completely understand that this is a stinker. Why does this exist? I have no idea, but it's here now.
Yeah, this is the guys that did. So let's look at their filmography quickly because oh my god, Dave. So the pair who wrote and directed this movie also did Date Movie, which is really bad. Meet the Spartans, Disaster Movie, Vampires Suck, The Starving Games, Best Night Ever, and Super Fast.
Yeah, yeah. Like, on one hand, somewhat happy for them. They could actually manage to make some supposed money with putting these out at the time. It was kind of lightning in a bottle sort of moment, but still the case of, do these really need to exist? Like, really?
No, these are all terrible. The only good movie that they've been a part of is they were co-writers on the first Scary Movie.
Uh,
But everything after and before that was crap. At least that they have listed on their Wikipedia. I didn't look any further than that. Alrighty. So let us move on to video games because my god, oh boy, there was a bunch of stuff. So,
We kind of have an entire month to cover.
like more than like closer to 2 months. Okay,
Yeah.
November 29th, if you had a PC, technically this isn't really a game, but I feel like we should mention it. This little thing called Gary's Mod came out.
Yeah, it's kind of the big thing. Like, I'm not exactly sure if it was still the case of the entire sequence of things, but with the particular things that came from it and the amount of work that was done with it, it's a huge kind of thing.
Yes, yeah, absolutely it was. November 30th, if you had a Game Boy Advance and you lived in Japan, you could pick up Final Fantasy VI Advance.
And or Final Fantasy III when it was first released to us on the on the Super Nintendo 64 when the time was, but still nevertheless good. But also the case of oh god, all the transferring of particular fantasies and whatnot to the coast and the all the craziness.
Yes. December 5th, if you had a PSP, you could pick up Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops.
Somewhat yes, but never bothered looking into any of these Metal Gear ones that were on the portable, despite having the system. Just a case of yeah, not even anything that interests me.
I think it's meant to be kind of like a sequel to Snake Eater.
Hmm.
It kind of goes somewhere around there in the timeline.
Hmm.
Also on December 5th, if you had a PS3, you could pick up Fight Night Round 3, which is a surprisingly good boxing game when they still made boxing games.
Yeah.
Also, on December 5th, if you had a Nintendo DS, you could pick up Castlevania Portrait of Ruin.
Ah, yes, that particular one. Don't know it exactly and haven't played it, but heard things about it, and it turns out to be a fairly decent one.
Okay, okay. December 12th, you'll probably be familiar with this, I think. If you had a Nintendo DS, you could pick up Full Metal Alchemist Dual Sympathy.
Surprisingly enough, no. Despite managing to pick up one or two of the games, it's been on the PS2. Never bothered to manage the one that was on the DS.
Oh, okay. December 13th, if you had a GameCube, there was a little game that came out called The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess.
Ah, yes, when it was first released. And then when they were like, wait, we have a new system out. We need to put it on this other system to make a whole bunch of money, which they did.
Yes. Twilight Princess is one of the pretty good ones, isn't it?
It kind of depends on who you ask. On the one side, when you speak with most players that sort of are interested within the Zelda series and enjoy particular types of Zeldas, very much so, it's one of their favorites. If you ask a couple of other particular kind of purists or the developers themselves, oh boy, there are stories to tell.
I see. That's pretty much it, really, for 2006. So I'm going to jump over to 2007, unless you have something else you wanted to bring up for that particular year.
Nothing much else aside from the other typical things that seem to pop up around the end of the year.
Alrighty, so we'll move along. January 9th, if you had a PS2, you could pick up the Shield video game.
Supposed yay?
Apparently it's terrible. I've never played it.
I don't even know what to say. It's just super generic. Just,
It's based off of the
I've
TV
got
series.
nothing.
But yeah, I've never played it. January 15th, if you had a Wii, you could pick up WarioWare Smooth Moves.
Ah, yes. I'm not sure how well you have your memories, but something within my collection that managed to get played a decent amount.
I remember playing one or two of the WarioWare games, but I couldn't tell you which ones they were.
Kind of the marvelous case of you can play them on just about every system and every game kind of changes, but no matter what, the simplicity of all the particular games blur all together in most cases.
Yes, I think that's actually kind of the strength of it, is the games are so simple and quick that even if you don't really like one of them, it's like, well, I'll be on to another game in 30 seconds, so... Alrighty. January 16th, if you had a Nintendo DS, you could pick up Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Justice for All.
I believe the very first one that managed to come across, or was this one of the other ones?
This is the second one that came to North America. The first one was just called Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney.
Ah, okay, for that one. Nah, double checking with it. Nah, makes sense.
Yes. Also, on January 16th, if you had a Mac or PC, you could pick up World of Warcraft: The Burning Crusade, which I think is the first expansion for World of Warcraft.
Yeah, and as it supposedly said in the advertising, they were not prepared.
Yeah, World of Warcraft is still going, kids.
Yeah.
Still going.
No, some particular people would supposedly say it's not really, but it supposedly is. It's a whole can of worms that we cannot dive into.
I mean, it's still online and you can still play it, and like, I would argue it is still going. A game that came out when we were in middle school.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, moving along. There's not a ton really else for this year. Yeah, there's nothing else that comes out before the episode launches that I feel the need to discuss. Is there anything you wanted to mention?
Surprise, though I'm not exactly sure if you're familiar with it. A particular one that came out on the DS that came out was Hotel Dusk, Room 215.
Oh, the box for this looks super familiar.
And again, it was a case of whether or not I vaguely remember hearing about this and heard you talk about it in some sort of case, but another marvelous case of the Nintendo DS keeping particular game series alive, of the point-and-click adventure game.
Oh, I do remember. Okay, I never played this, but I always wanted to. I never picked it up, though. Because you play as like a detective or something in this, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh. I am gonna have to... Oh, it got a sequel, too. Huh. Interesting. Oh, that never came to North America. Okay.
Of course it didn't.
Of course. I am going to have to see if there is a way for me to play this, because even though I don't have a DS.
Best of lucks.
Hey, Nintendo, if you want to make a bunch of money, you could put these DS games on, like, Switch 2 on your, like, online thing.
Yeah, it's a thought, along with their other particular thoughts that are supposedly concerning, but that again is another can of worms.
Hey, we're getting GameCube games, so I'm happy.
Yes, the GameCube coming out, the national distraction of the other particular things that are going on.
Yeah, I know the pricing for Switch 2 games is ridiculous. You don't have to. We're in agreement on that. Anyway,
yes.
Let us move on to the episode. Okay, so Keith is visited by Mindy O'Dell, who tells him to investigate the death of her husband, Dean O'Dell. Mac is called in for tech support when an animal research lab is raided and a valuable monkey is stolen. And that's not a euphemism, it's actually a monkey. Mac asks Veronica for help. The researchers believe that a PETA-like organization called FAT, People for Humane Animal Treatment, is responsible. At the FAT meeting, Mac flirts with the group leader, Bronson, but there is no reason to think that they're guilty. Weevil invites Keith to investigate Dean O'Dell's office, and he finds a 40-year-old bottle of scotch unopened. At the next FAT meeting, Veronica is asked to take action for animal rights in any way she sees fit. Keith presents the bottle of scotch as evidence of the murder of Dean O'Dell. Back at the lab, Veronica notices a coworker being mean to the monkey researchers. After a slight hazing ritual, Veronica and Mac are accepted into the group. They're basically told that they want to shoot them for a catalog, and they have to strip naked, and they have these little signs that says "No fur." In order to impress the leader of the group, Veronica, Mac, and Parker participate in the party. Mac leaves the party early, but the leader of the group appears at her room. When he tries to kiss her, she pulls away. Logan and Dick go surfing. When Mac, Parker, and Veronica go to the leader's house, they find a woman, but he invites them in anyway. Veronica finds cages of rats in Bronson's room, but he says that they showed up on his doorstep one day. Logan has sex with one of the surfer ladies, and when the police show up to Bronson's house to inquire about the stolen rats, they are gone. While investigating the hard drive on the lab's computer, Mac finds leaves, which Veronica discovers are green tea. She shows them to the co-worker Emmy and discovers that Emmy stole one of the monkey's toys. After doing some more searching, Veronica discovers that one of the lab members actually stole the monkey after developing a special bond with it. Not in a creepy way. The lab member knew he could blame it on fat. Veronica decides to tell the other lab members that she was unable to find the monkey, although she is surprised to learn that they can quickly get a replacement. Matt goes to Bronson's house where she asks him on a date and the two share a kiss, and they're adorable together. Please don't turn out to be a killer this time.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Veronica has a heartfelt conversation with Piz, although soon after she goes back to Logan. Keith decides to take on the case of Dean Odell's death. The next morning, Piz walks up to Veronica excitedly, but Logan appears, making things awkward and causing Piz to leave sadly. Boo, I like Piz. He seems like a good guy.
Hopefully we'll stick around, and not in the horrible way of he'll stick around, but most likely get caught up in horrible situation.
Yes. So, what did you think of this episode, Mr. Dave?
Well, on the one hand, I was a little bit concerned heading into it, but I'm going to have to agree. The monkey was very cute.
Yes, he was.
And additionally, interesting enough with going with one of these sorts of stories, because I suppose on the one hand, you could think of it as sort of childish of going with scientific experiments of animals and whatnot, typical sort of case with that. But I think the particular stuff they went with and certain routes that they went with the story made it a little bit more better within the story, though also kind of the case of, aside from building up the main plot of who the heck killed a dean, just sort of side storyness, but nevertheless still kept decent enough pace with the story and whatnot from there. But additionally, just kind of the case of all the stuff they're starting to find for Dean Odell's murder case and whatnot from there. Just the
Yes. Alrighty. So, if there's nothing else about this episode, next week we'll be discussing an episode called Poughkeepsie Tramps and Thieves. Oh boy. Okay. In this episode, Veronica is going to be hired by Max, not Mac, a student who is looking for his beloved Chelsea. But Veronica is going to learn that Chelsea is actually a prostitute hired to take to help Mac lose his virginity. Meanwhile, Keith finds the official police report of Dean Odell's death. In addition, Veronica asks Logan about his past, eventually finding out that he had slept with Madison Sinclair when they were broken up. So, some stuff's gonna happen. Stuff is gonna happen. Anyway, if there's nothing else, I've been Paul.
And I've been Dave.